Do you want to lose weight but struggle to stay committed to a meal plan because you constantly feel hungry? Does food provide you comfort when you are bored, angry, lonely, or sad? If so, you are in the right place. My name is Kristen Jones, and I'm a life coach specializing in emotional eating and weight loss, and I'm also a lifelong emotional eater. I want to provide you with information, motivation, and support so you too can learn to manage your issues with food and develop a healthy relationship with yourself. Welcome to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Podcast. Hi, and welcome to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Podcast. My name is Kristen Jones, and thank you so much for joining me this week. It has been, it's been a minute since I have done a formal podcast, and I'm so happy to be back. And so today I wanted to talk about the impact that your thoughts have on everything that you do, and specifically talk about the impact that your thoughts have on a goal. And in our case, we'll talk about weight loss, and we'll reference weight loss, but this applies to anything that you want to have in your life, or you have in your life, and you want it to improve, you want to make it better. So whether it's a relationship, whether it's your job, whether it's communication, whether it's weight loss, any sort of goal that you want to achieve and that you're working towards, there are certain things that you may be thinking, saying, and then feeling that are dramatically impacting the likelihood that you will reach that goal, the goal that you want. So we're really going to talk about today what you're thinking. You need to pay attention to. You need to pay attention to what you're thinking, and you need to decide how you want to think in order to achieve whatever the goals are that you are working towards. So if you are new, either in listening to the podcast or in the Facebook group, the Facebook group is Breakthrough Emotional Eating. It is on Facebook, and you can find us by typing in Breakthrough Emotional Eating, or just type in emotional eating into the group's search bar and you will find us. Or you can go directly www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough. Join the group. You will see an incredibly supportive community full of women who are moving towards managing their emotional eating. Note, I say managing, not ending it, not getting rid of it, not having it be in the past, but managing their emotional eating, changing their relationship with food, and then losing weight in the process. As a result of all of those things, a better relationship with yourself, and you understanding and knowing yourself even better. So that in and of itself is totally worth it. So today I wanted to talk again about the thoughts that you have and how those thoughts will impact how you achieve a goal. So one of the things that is a common, it's not just in my Facebook group, but it's in a variety of Facebook groups. I listen to other podcasts. I listen to other, podcasters and weight loss coaches and just coaches in general. And I listen to a lot of their podcasts, and I know they have groups on Facebook. I know they have, large numbers of clients. And one of the most common things that's talked about is the struggle that people have. And I'm going to use the example of specifically with trying to lose weight, the struggle that people have when it comes to the weekends, and how the weekends, like all of a sudden, I know people kind of start to get anxious on Thursday because they're like, oh, the weekend's coming. They're excited for it, but they're also scared because they're kind of thinking like, oh, I've been really good this week. Okay, the weekend's coming. Am I going to be able to hold it together? Or conversely, they could be thinking, woohoo, weekend's coming. Let's they got their rally towel going and they're like, let's cut loose. It is time. I have worked hard. I have been really good. And I know that this is really tough and challenging. And I deserve to let go, to not think about it, and to just take a break and do whatever I want to do. And so there's a lot of anxiety behind that. And there's a lot of tension that happens. And I know that there are many people who will work very hard Monday through Thursday. And Friday afternoon, at first half of Friday is pretty good. And then Friday afternoon rolls around and the air starts coming out of the tires. Saturday morning, Sunday morning, all of a sudden the wheels are totally off the bus and they have completely derailed themselves. And all the work that they did for the week has been washed away in 2.5 days. If that sounds familiar to anyone who's watching in the Facebook group, please go ahead and just type in the comment weekend. If that is a challenge, if that's something that you find where it's like the weekend creates a different kind of challenge when it comes to sticking to any kind of program. I don't care if you're doing keto. I don't care if you're doing, if you're counting calories, if you're doing Weight Watchers, whatever. If you find that the weekends are like the gauntlet gets dropped and you're like, it's like spring break, girls gone wild. If that's how you start to feel, then put weekend in the comments. Okay. So the thing that most people want to kind of go with when it comes to the weekends is they really want to start buckling down on like their structure. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that actually that's really helpful to really, if you really want to, try to create some structure if you're feeling like the weekends because of the lack of structure, because you're not on the same routine. People want to just go and just be like, okay, so I'm going to get really strict with myself and I'm going to really like define exactly what I'm going to do this weekend. And then it almost becomes like the weekends become your own little isolated like prison. Like all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, like the weekends now have become this completely regimented, really, really strict time. And for those people who follow my program, restriction and deprivation is not even like, that's not even allowed. We don't even do that. And we're not dieting. So it's like the diet mentality has got to go. And that's what usually people double down on is like, what can I control? How can I control my environment? Maybe I won't go out all weekend. Maybe I'll just stay, if somebody invites me someplace up, I'll pretend like I'm sick and I won't go. And so what you're looking at is not what you should be looking at, because we can change circumstances and we can change the things that we do, those actions, but we have to go back and we have to start looking at first is what are the thoughts that you have about the weekend. So if you're taking notes, if you're, wanting to make sure that you understand this, I want you to think about what is the most, if you are somebody who has struggled with overeating on the weekends, if you're somebody who has overindulged and struggled with overeating on the weekends, if you're that person, I want you to think about how you speak about yourself and how you speak about that particular situation. How often do you say, not only in your own head, but aloud to other people, well, this weekends are really hard. Weekends are hard. I suck on the weekends. Like I just can't do it. It's really hard. It's brutal. Like I really struggle on the weekends. The more you say that, the more you reinforce that with your brain, that is what's going to happen. Because your brain doesn't know whether or not you want more of that to happen. It only takes the cue from, she thinks about it a lot. She keeps saying how she's struggling. She must want to continue that struggle because she keeps thinking about it and she keeps talking about it. Your brain doesn't have that much of that depth of, I wonder how she feels about this. It just goes by what you say. If you say that you struggle and you're like, God, this is so hard, your brain's going to be like, yeah, I'll show you how hard it is. I'll let you see how hard it is. And your brain will follow suit, and it will absolutely make it so much harder for you. To backtrack, Why does your brain do that? Well, your brain will only, it takes its cues from what you think about. The more you think about, and goes for everybody, the more you think about something, about a certain topic or about a certain situation or about a certain person, the more you will continue to think about that person. So I'm going to relate it to something completely off topic of weight loss. How many of you have had a tough breakup? You break up with somebody and you're at home and you're like, you're in your pajamas and you haven't, it's been 2 days and you haven't gotten out of your pajamas and you just cry all the time and you play sad music and you watch the Hallmark Channel and you're like, I'll never find love again. And you'll just sit and cry and cry and cry and cry and cry. Your brain is going, man, she must really love thinking about this guy, like whoever it is, she must really love thinking about this. She just keeps thinking. I mean, granted, she's crying all the time too, but in that, maybe she likes to cry. Who knows? But we're just going to keep feeding her those thoughts because she seems to want to keep thinking them. And that's what your brain only goes by. What do you think about? The more you think about one thing, the more it will continue to bring that loop back over and over and over and over and over again. And how many of you have been like, friends asked you out and you're like, no, I can't go out. I can't go out. I'm a mess. I can't go out. And you stay at home. And then finally your best friend comes over and is like, girl, you smell, you got to shower. We got to go out. And she takes you out and you go to dinner or you go to a movie or you go shopping. And oh my gosh, maybe you see people and you start talking and you start meeting people and, you're just hanging out and there's people there, but it's not anything crazy. But all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, I went like 3 hours and I didn't think about Numbskullhead who dumped me. No, because your brain's like, oh, she's having fun. She's doing other stuff. Okay, she's not thinking about that guy. Okay, let's focus on the stuff she is thinking about. So you teach your brain how to respond. So if you continue to think in a negative fashion about the weekends, it is going to continue to be hard and difficult. The same thing with a job. If you continue to think, oh my gosh, my job sucks. I can't stand it. I can't stand going. This is awful. Oh my God, these people are terrible to work with. This is horrible. Oh my gosh, when am I going to get? That's all you're going to keep thinking about. And that's all you're going to keep getting back. And so you have to be responsible. When those thoughts come into your head, you don't have to think about them. And this is something that I think is probably for almost every one of my clients. Those are my clients who are new, who've just joined the membership. You are going to be module two, getting right into it. You are going to learn the power that you have over your thoughts, that you get to choose the thoughts that you want to keep and the thoughts that don't serve you and that make you unhappy and that you don't like. You get to choose not to entertain those thoughts anymore. You get to choose to say, nope, I don't do that. I don't think about that anymore. That thought isn't welcome here. I don't think that anymore. And then you move on and your brain's like, oh, you really? Okay, I'm going to throw it at you again. And it throws it at you again. You're like, no, I said no. And you have to do it, repeat it. And your brain will keep throwing those thoughts at you because it's going to keep testing you. But you get the power. You get to decide, no, I don't think that way anymore. I don't want to think that way anymore. It doesn't serve me and I'm not going to. You get to decide. And that's the really exciting piece. And so most people think that they have to go along with the thoughts that come into their head, and you don't. You don't. I'm giving you permission. You get to talk back to your thoughts and say no, because that's the only way you're going to stop your brain from continuing to do that negative loop of all the bad things that all the bad things that you're thinking. So when it comes to the weekends, and we're talking about the weekends, which it comes to what's difficult, what's hard for you when it comes to eating, I want everybody to think about a shift. If you do have a hard time with the weekends, I want you to think about, how can I go into the weekend believing that this time it's going to be different. And it always starts with the thoughts. You're going to get to the actions that you need to take, but not yet, not until we come up with the thought. So a thought about the weekend could be coming in. So it's Thursday right now. Your thought could be, I'm going to slay this weekend. This is going to be an amazing weekend, and I am going to stay on plan, and it's going to be awesome. And your brain will come back with, really? Do you think so? Remember how crazy you were last weekend? You had like 4 cocktails and all those appetizers. Really? Do you think it's going to be different? And when it says that, you get to come back with, yeah, it's going to be different because I said it's going to be different. And again, it's going to keep trying to get you to think a certain way, because that's the way you've always been thinking. You've been thinking that way for a long time. So it's time to start rewriting that narrative, to start rewriting that story, and not continuing to go back and give in to your brain saying, oh, I don't think you can do it. Oh, you're right. I suck. I suck at the weekends. I'm terrible. No, this weekend, I'm going to slay. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to wake up Monday morning. I'm going to be 1.5 pounds down. It's going to be great. You get to decide that, though. And this applies to every single area of your life. This also applies to relationships. If you have a relationship that isn't 100% where you want it to be, I'm going to promise you, the more you focus and think about all the things that you don't like about your relationship, that is exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get more of that. Your brain's going to be like, let's double down. She says she doesn't like when he snores. Oh, right. He is going to be a windbag. That's, and we're going to have him leave his socks on the floor too, just for good measure. So you get to decide, again, what you focus on is what you get more of. If you focus on the weekends being hard and horrible and you being terrible at them, that is what you're going to get. If you focus on the aspects of your relationship that you don't like, that's what you're going to continue to get more of. You will see more. You will feel more. It will be more intense. That's not what you want. You want to change those thoughts. And it's not change those thoughts to, again, if someone's being abusive and being horrible, that's a whole different story. But if it's just like, oh, he really irritates me, this is I don't like when he does this, and this, okay, let that go. Those are things that you can talk about with him, but your thoughts about it need to be, I'm going to think about what the things I do like, the things I do want more of. And as those continue to come in, doesn't mean I ignore. If I'm being treated poorly, that's something totally different. And if I'm being treated poorly, I will take note of that. And maybe this thinking positive, thinking about the good things doesn't outweigh the negative things. And that is a whole different podcast, because I am not ever going to say that somebody needs to stay in a relationship that is not positive and in their best interest. But we don't need to be so quick to bail because we don't like a circumstance. We don't like the way things are happening, because it's always our thoughts about it. And so we have to change that first. And if that doesn't remedy things, then we need to take those steps of like, maybe this isn't the place for me. But we always do our own work first, our own thought work. And in this case, the thought work is, I'm going to tell myself that I'm going to manage this and I'm going to do really well. And whatever that thing is, or I'm going to, in the case of losing weight, I'm going to stay on my plan. I'm going to do my planner. I'm going to drink all my water. And that's just, there's no discussion about it. Not, oh my gosh, it's so hard and I don't think I can do it. Again, your thoughts are what dictate your feelings, and any action you take is a result of the feelings that you have. You do not do an action without a feeling behind it. So make sure your feelings are positive, are good, and you're focusing on the good in things, and that will drive your actions. Otherwise, those actions are not going to be positive, and they're going to keep you exactly where you are if, in fact, you want to move and you want to move forward and you want to get stronger, better, whatever it is that you're working towards. So power of your thoughts, the thoughts, what you think greatly impacts how much you move forward towards any kind of goal that you may have. So I would love for you to, right now in the comments, in the Facebook group, If you're at home, you can do this too. But if you're in the Facebook group, I would like everyone who's on to come up with what is a new thought that you can have about the weekend that's going to promote and increase the likelihood that you be successful and that you follow through on whatever it is, whatever plan. If you're somebody who struggles on the weekends, what is the thought that you can have that will propel you forward and make it a much greater likelihood that you're going to have a successful weekend? What is a thought that you can create? Because again, we wallow in the negativity that, again, bring it. It's just going to keep coming back at us. So what would a thought be? Okay. So I want you to think about that, and you can put that in the comments. Now, oh, Leslie brought up a really good point. She said, but my thoughts are about food. Okay. So Leslie, tell me what, when you say, but my thoughts are about food, what are your thoughts about food? Like specifically, what are they? Okay. I override food urges. That's great, Anne. Let's do more yard work. There you go, Lori. But Lori, I would love for you to say, I during the weekends, my eating is under control because I do yard work. I do yard work. My eating is under control, and I feel good because I've accomplished a lot of things. And that can really help too. I can make good food choices and be proud of myself on Sunday night. Oh, love that one, Sue. That's an awesome one. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's so good. So think about what is the thought that you want to create for yourself that is going to be uplifting, it's going to be powerful, and it's going to be focused on you being in control of your thoughts. Leslie, I love it. I will do fun things, or I do fun things. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Billy, I love it. I make good choices at granddaughter's birthday party. Yeah. And you just say it like, I make good choices. Like it's already done. It's already happened. I make good choices, period. End of story. And you just, and then you let that feeling of like confidence and belief power through and lead to the actions that allow you to make those decisions. Now, I'm going to give you one little piece of advice that I think is really helpful. When you are, say, for instance, I'm going to use Billy's as an example of, say you're going to someone's birthday party or a graduation party. We have lots of graduation parties right now. So you're going to a graduation party and you are, you're concerned about, like you have some thoughts, some concerns about how you're going to interact and behave at that party. You want to decide that, yes, I'm going to be successful at this party. I am going to, I'm going to make my plan. I am going to stick to my plan. I'm going to drink my water. I'm going to focus on the people in this, I'm going to focus on the people in the, at the party. There may be obstacles that are challenging, but here's how I'm going to overcome them. And so one of the things that's important in order to move and get through an event is to anticipate what are some possible obstacles that you might come in contact with. What are some possible obstacles that will prevent you from being able to follow through on your plan and feel really good? And so one of the obstacles may be someone's going to say something, or there may be foods that I really, really, really love. And I'm really going to want to have some. Your comeback to that could be, gosh, I know, yeah, that's an obstacle. There could be really good food there. I can have good food at any time. I am always in control of what I choose to eat. And if there's something that's made at that party that I haven't written down on my food plan and I want to have that, then I can write it on my food plan tomorrow and I can make sure I go get it. Y'all, we have so many ways of getting things that we want, of doing things that we want. We need to make sure that we're using the resources that we have. and not just giving in to urges, not just going, oh, well, there's this mango cheesecake that someone's serving and I really need to have that right now. No, you don't. Because you could call around and get some mango cheesecake, but write it on your meal plan for tomorrow and then go get it and have it. And that's going to feel a lot better and a lot more in control than you saying, forget it, let's just go for it. I'll just have the mango cheesecake now because I haven't written down my plan, but I never know when I'm going to have it again. No, you can figure that out. We have to always be thinking, what can I do in this moment when it comes to choices? What can I do in this moment that will allow me to wake up tomorrow morning and be proud of myself? And I will tell you, I've been using that a lot lately, that thought process of what can I do in this exact moment that will allow me to wake up tomorrow morning and feel proud of myself. And I will tell you that it has made me close the pantry, put whatever I had out away, because I was like, nope, what's going to make me feel proud is getting back into my pajamas or getting back into bed and realizing I don't need to eat anything. I'm okay. I can do this. So I really think that it's important, again, that whole idea, let's step back. How do we work our thoughts, and how do we decide that we're going to be in control of our thoughts and not let our thoughts dictate and control us? You get to decide. Does a thought work for you? Do you want to keep it around, or does it need to go? So that is what I would like. And so you have a day. You have a day to come up with what's going to be my mantra this weekend. What's going to be my affirmation that I'm going to say this weekend to myself when I start, when those thoughts creep in of like, oh, it's Saturday afternoon. This is what you usually do. We usually snack now. You'll then get to decide, no, we used to. We don't do that anymore. This is what we do from here on out. So that's what I really want you to think about and come up with a plan. And I would love for those people who are members in the group to post, like, what is the thought that you're going to have going into this weekend? And if a obstacle comes up, how are you going to deal with it? What's the thought that you're going to come back at your brain with when it says, oh no, the mango cheesecake, come on. You can you'll have a comeback already ready, and that will help you and put you in a great position to be able to be in control. Absolutely. We have the power. Very true, Leslie. I love that. All right. And any other stay away from the sweet table? Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Randy, I love that. I love that saying. Yeah. I can eat well all the time, and I can maintain my plan, and I can be proud of myself. 100%. Good. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So that's your homework. That's your homework. If you're listening on the podcast, if you're in the group, please create what are the thoughts that you're going to have going in, and then what are you going to then do when the obstacles present themselves? How are you going to come back at your brain and be like, we got this. We totally got this. We can manage. And just let your brain know you are in charge. You have the power, and you get to make those decisions. All right. I hope that this on a Thursday, I hope this kind of gave you some enthusiasm and some momentum to move into the weekend and be able to then kind of formulate and have a plan for yourself. And I would love for those people who are in the group, if you're not in the group, why not come on in, www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough. If you're not in the group, come on in. If you are in the group, I want you posting in the group, what's your mantra? What's your affirmation that you're going to say to take yourself into the weekend? And then if you're presented with an obstacle, how are you going to overcome it? What are you going to tell yourself? What thoughts are you going to have for your brain? Okay. You got your homework. You got your marching papers. Let's do it. Let's have an amazing weekend and come back on Monday feeling so confident and having so much belief in ourselves, because that's what this is all about. All right. All right, everybody, have a fabulous, fabulous weekend. Happy Friday tomorrow. And I will see you all around. All right. Come back next week. Talk to you soon. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. For more information on emotional eating and losing weight, please go to www.facebook.com/groups breakthrough.com/food breakthrough and join the Breakthrough Emotional Eating community. I hope to see you soon.